So this is lesson 9.3 over rotations, and a rotation is a transformation in which a figure is turned about a fixed point. And the fixed point is the center of rotation. And patty paper works really great with these examples. Rotations can be clockwise or counterclockwise. Most of the time, we are going to be going counterclockwise. Okay, so you can use your patty paper to determine if this is a rotation by kind of tracing your shape and then looking to see if you rotate it. And a lot of times with your fixed point, it helps to kind of keep it on that shape and then put your pen or pencil and then rotate and look to see at any point do you get the shape that's over there, and you can kind of see that if we rotate it, we can get to this point. But even if I kind of pull it up there to see if maybe we had a closer one, we're not quite exactly like that. We're more of a reflection. If we kind of look at our line here, we're kind of reflected over. So this one is a no. And then we could test this one, and you could do either one to kind of draw. You've got to make sure you keep your patty paper still. Okay, so then if we rotate, you can see that this one lines up on top of that one there, so this is a yes. Okay, and again, patty paper helps a ton with these rotations. So let's go ahead and take a look at one where we'll need some patty paper. And then a lot of the rest of them we're going to wind up in the coordinate plane and are a little bit easier to do, but patty paper is still such a great tool when it comes to these rotations. All right, so for example 2, what we want to do is draw a segment from each of our points here to our point Q. Okay, then we'll draw our angle measure using a protractor, and then we'll use a ruler to kind of draw. So I have this example kind of to help you. It's not our example exactly, but just kind of the steps of using a protractor and a ruler. And this one is 140 degrees specifically. So we would draw our point, which is going to be our point of rotation, center of rotation, and then we would end up drawing from that point. That's our center, so we put our protractor on there and draw our angle out, and then we end up with our point that's going to be our new point as we rotate it. Okay, so this one I do not have a protractor with me, unfortunately, so this one I can't really do, and you may not have a protractor with you either. But our first step would be to use a ruler, which I do have, and draw our point here, and that's going to be our center of rotation. And I'm just going to go ahead and use patty paper since I don't have my protractor. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my triangle, and I'm going to use a straight edge to make it as accurate as possible. And then I'm going to look at my angle measure and kind of copy it as well, so that I can kind of have that. And you can use pen or pencil, but a lot of times pen works a little bit better. Okay, so we have our stuff copied here, and I'm going to go ahead and show my my angle measure that we want to go from, get this right here, from our point here up to this angle right here. And so we're going to take and rotate, if I can get our paper lined up there again, and putting your pen right on your point that you're going to be turning it, and then we'll turn it our angle measure and then stop right there. So you can kind of see my triangle didn't show up too well. There we go. That it should be right there, and then you can kind of trace underneath it. And I've got too much light going here. So you can do it with patty paper, but a protractor and a ruler works way better because we want it to be as accurate as possible. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at it in the coordinate plane, which is most of the examples that you are going to be doing on a test or a quiz, and those are rotating 90, 180, and 270. So here's kind of the trick that I like to use to kind of show how we come up with the rules. So that way you can remember the rules no matter what type of rotation you're doing. All right, so here's kind of our trick of the way to remember it. So I have my X and my Y axis, and I just have kind of a little smiley face here. Kind of looks creepy. In our little coordinate plane. So what we have is we have the positives and the positives, and then down here we have the negatives and the negatives when we go down or when we go left. So what we're going to do is if we rotate, again, we always kind of, if it doesn't say, we rotate counterclockwise. So let's go ahead and say we're going to rotate 90 degrees. And so if we go ahead and rotate 90 degrees, then we have our X and Y axis kind of flipping here. So when we go to graph something, we have our horizontal number first, which is going to be a negative Y, and we have a positive X for our vertical coordinates of that. Okay, so that's our rule when we rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise. So now let's take a look at what happens when we go to 180. So we're going to rotate another 90. Now we're at 180, and it looks like we have a negative X, because again we want our moving left first before we go up or down. So to plot our smiley face, we go negative X and negative Y. Okay, and then for 270, we rotate, and we are at positive Y and negative X. And there is how you can get your rules without thinking too hard. You can draw your little picture and kind of rotate it. So again, you started off with your normal coordinates of, we have positive over here on the right, negative over here on the left, positive for up, negative for down, x-axis is horizontal, y-axis is vertical, and then I just put a smiley face in that first quadrant. And then we have quadrant 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and then I just rotated and looked to see what my horizontal, and then my vertical was giving me. So here are those rules again, just for your mapping chart here. All right, so that's what happens when we rotate, and you can see two examples there except for 270. So what we want to do first on number 3 is plot all of our points, and then you can either use your patty paper or you can use the rule, and you can go ahead and rotate that 180 degrees counterclockwise about the origin. All right, so there is our original triangle, and now to get our points, you can either, again, use the rule that we kind of talked about up above, or you can use your patty paper and actually rotate it, tracing it onto your patty paper and then putting your point at the center and rotating your figure. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and show you with the patty paper that it does line up. All right, so I have drawn my figure and I have my center of rotation where I'm going to put my tip of my pen there, and then I'm going to rotate the paper. There's 90, and rotate again and until it's kind of, squared up there, and there is 180. So I can go ahead and get my coordinates of my points, and I should have labeled these, but I was kind of in a hurry there. We'll label them real quick here so you can see them now. All right, so there is our K prime up here at -4, 5, and then our J prime is there at -2, -2, and our L prime is there at 1, -6. And so you can go ahead and fill all those points in and then draw your actual triangle on the coordinate plane. But as you can see, it does follow our rule that we kind of originally started with. All right, so if all 3 vertices of a triangle are in quadrant 2 and you rotate it at 90 degrees about the origin, what quadrant would it be in? Well, if it started out here and it's rotating 90 degrees, then it would be in quadrant 3. Okay? If all of it was, or at least part of it would be. All right, so this next one, we're going to rotate it 90 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and just use the rule for this one, which is our -yx. And so you would go ahead and switch your x and y and make your y negative. So this would end up being -2, 2 for our j prime. K prime would end up being 5, and then we make that 5 positive, and then we keep the x the same but put it in the y's position. And then for L, we would make our 6 negative and then keep our -1 and just move it into the y position. So go ahead and plot those and take a look. And this is what it should look like when you rotate your green to be 90 degrees. And then our last one here, and that's going to be a 270 degree, and you can go ahead and try it either with your patty paper or with the rule, and pause and try it. Draw your original triangle, and then either find your new points with the rule or use your patty paper and actually do it and get your points and then plot your points. Totally up to you. But pause, try it, and then check when you're ready. And there's what it should look like when you rotate it 270 degrees about the origin counterclockwise.